world class. There is an incredible author. His name is Stephen Seibold, and he has a book called Secrets of the World Class, Turning Mediocrity into Greatness. And in his book, they had spent 20 years conducting interviews with champions regarding the psychology of peak performance and learning what sets the world-class performers apart from the rest of the world. I wanted to share with you a few of their findings, and there will be for each of you a couple of nuggets that you hear, but I'm guessing that certain things will speak to you differently perhaps than they might speak to your neighbor. Here are a few of the things that they have found in the studies comparing the world class versus the middle class. The middle class competes. The world class creates. The middle class avoids risk. The world class manages risk. The middle class loves to be comfortable. The world class is comfortable being uncomfortable. The middle class hungers for security. The world class doesn't believe security exists. The middle class sacrifices growth for safety. The world class sacrifices safety for growth. The middle class focuses on having. The world class focuses on being. The middle class has a lottery mentality. We know that 95% of Americans who win the lottery are within 5 years bankrupt. The world class has an abundance mentality. The middle class slows down. The world class calms down. The middle class is frustrated. The world class is grateful. The middle class operates out of fear and scarcity. The world class operates from love and abundance. The middle class has pipe dreams. The world class has vision. The middle class trades time for money. The world class trades ideas for money. This weekend is a perfect example of that. Trading a wealth of ideas for a mere few dollars and just a short bit of your time. The middle class is problem-oriented. The world class seeks solutions. The middle class sees itself as a victim. The world class believe they are victorious. The middle class choose fear. The world class choose growth. And lastly, the middle class believes its vision only when it sees it. The world class knows it will see its vision when it first believes. Those are incredible descriptions when we look at the difference between how world-class leaders and people think and perceive the world, of really definitions of the lens of success or the filter of success that we've been talking about this weekend. And in all of the things that I share with you about that, I know that so many of you, having met with so many champions over our lunchtime, are feeling the nuggets really begin to come into place, and really the epiphanies begin to happen, and the light bulbs beginning to go off of, I see what you mean. It all starts in how we think. When we were around the boardroom table, Roxanne had shared a reminder that our mind is the most important muscle and organ that we must master in our bodies. because it determines everything else. Yesterday at our director meeting, we talked about that 95% of Fortune 500 CEOs are hired and paid for their keen, astute decision-making capability. The ability to see two choices in front of them, to assess the information, to make a decision. Generally, the decision is made quickly, moving forward on that decision and making that decision right. They make right decisions at the right time, a majority of the time. And as we're talking about the concepts this weekend about how successful champion people think, the second you walk out the door, even to go use the restroom, or to grab a snack, or to catch a quick call that you have to take, you're faced with life, circumstances, and situations. And isn't it interesting how quickly life can snap us right back into the life bubble, where you feel like you're in the pink bubble, and then all of a sudden, boom, something with life, a text perhaps, snaps you right back into the life bubble. And so one of the things that I want to talk with you about today that relates so strongly to the ability to become a keen decision maker for your life success is healthy emotional management. I would like for you to draw on your paper, and if you're taking notes on an iPad, you can really just have these, like 2 columns side by side will be fine. But if you have the ability to draw on a piece of paper, I would love for you to draw 2 circles that are side by side. So like 2 round tables, side by side on your piece of paper, however you want that to look. And inside of one circle, I want you to write the word me. And then in that circle, or if you need to take it around that circle, if you need more space to write, is completely fine. But this circle is going to represent all of the things that you have the ability to control in your life in terms of your emotional management. But it does take a choice of how we're going to respond. So Mary Kay Ash always taught us that it isn't ever what happens to you in your life that matters the most or has the most significance. It's what your response is to that person, to that task, to that situation, or to that life circumstance. So this is your circle of power, and you might want to write that somewhere around your circle. This is my power circle. This is my empowerment circle. This is where I can have the greatest foothold in my emotional energy management. So what would go along with that circle would be things like my thoughts. And when I say my in this exercise, I mean you. Okay, so it's in your me circle. My thoughts are a part of that. My words, my actions, my investment of time, if you can make a little arrow with that, time relates to who, doing what, where, and when. My perceptions, my feelings, my choices, all of my lifestyle kinds of things. So my prayer time, my diet, my exercise, all of those things that we have the opportunity to control via the choices that we're making. In the second circle is titled Others. This is not your circle of empowerment. Because even though we might want to believe that we have the capability to control other people, we don't. So inside or around that particular circle, you would write things like other people's thoughts, other people's words, other people's actions, other people's perceptions, other people's support or lack of support of me, other people's decisions about their lifestyle, other people's decisions about how they work Mary Kay. So, team members of yours. That's in the others group. Senior National Sales Director Julia Burnett shared both on the top director trip of last year, so pre-China, we were in France, and we had just become national sales directors, and she was speaking as a brand new national sales director, and in her 5 minutes of speak time that each of us new nationals were given at that business meeting, Julia shared that the number one thing that she shifted to going from being a top director in the company to becoming a national sales director was not a business kind of skill. It was the personal skill of emotional management and how to understand how to be able to dole out your emotions, where to give your energy, and where not to. And so the next thing that I want you to do is around the circle that has me inside of it, is I want you to draw a box or a rectangle or whatever is going to go around there. And that is going to symbolize a boundary. One of the most important things to understand in leadership, both of yourself and of others, is the necessity for you to establish healthy boundaries in your life. You know, Scripture reminds us, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. That if you allow people to speak negative things or words of death over you and your business, and sometimes you can't stop them. Like if it's somebody in your family, it's not like you can necessarily put tape over their mouth and stop them. But we do have a choice of if we receive that as truth in our minds. And so when you encounter that situation, because I know y'all have them. Do y'all have people in your life that just don't quite get it about your Mary Kay business? Who has a few of those people in there? You can relate to that? Okay, I did too when I started my Mary Kay business. So if I were to take you back, now nearly 16 years ago, I had very few family members or close friends who were supportive of me. In fact, the number I could count for you on one hand. Everyone else was very vocally unsupportive, giving tons of unsolicited advice, making fun of me, making fun of the company. They couldn't believe that I would do something like this. I was wasting a college education. Then you can't imagine what they said when after 6 months of building my business, I decided to leave my job and go full-time into Mary Kay at 24 years old. They thought I was wasting an opportunity that I had with a full-time career. They just thought I had absolutely gone crazy, totally crazy. Some refused to speak to me because they thought my decision was such a horrible decision. It's interesting how people feel like they have ownership over your life. See, those are people that have a real skewed view of what healthy boundaries are and what they feel like they can control. But for whatever that's worth, that's how they felt. And so I want you to know that I can understand that feeling. I can understand if you have a lot of people that may be in that circle or you're hearing a lot of comments that are coming from that particular circle. However, I shared this little visual picture with you today just as a reminder that you have the opportunity to choose in your mind what you are going to receive as truth. And that choice, it's like a crisis of choice. We talked about a crisis of choice yesterday. Crisis of decision. And when crisis of decision hits, like somebody icks on your wow, you're in your Mary Kay pink balloon and you're so excited and you're sharing your vision, and somebody says, oh please, nobody ever makes it in that business. And you're just, you ever felt yourself just deflate immediately, like all the wind is sucked out of you? That is a moment that is a crisis of choice for you. And in that moment of this decision that you make, at that moment, of am I choosing to buy into their truth, or am I going to choose to walk in my own truth, what I have stood in, what I have experienced, the people that I have been with, the words that I have heard, the feeling that is deep within my heart, the conviction and affirmation the Lord is giving me. In that moment of decision, you will either empower yourself to pursue your dream, or you will yourself be supporting your fear. What happens from those kinds of moments and experiences, because everybody has those, there's not a woman in the room who's immune to that, is that there begin to be two kinds of women out in the world who represent Mary Kay. The one kind of woman is kind of like our woman that we saw in our first roll of our Facebook skit. We might call her a negative Nellie or a negative Nancy. She's representing our company. She's out in the world. She's on Facebook. She's all over social media. She has perhaps another career, but she's in Mary Kay. But she's choosing to believe that the rest of the world can control her thoughts, her feelings, her emotions, and dominate all of that for her. And so since she's taken that in and received that as truth, she's spewing a whole bunch of that out. Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's holding people so tightly thinking she owns people, her customers, or owns her team members, doesn't feel the go-give spirit, doesn't feel gratitude for the company launches a brand new product launch, she's the first one to call Mary Kay and complain because something is wrong with it. An event gets launched and she doesn't like something about the event, doesn't like when it starts, doesn't like the registration price, doesn't like this deadline, doesn't like the color of t-shirt, doesn't like the location, and she's out there in the Mary Kay world. What kind of energy do you feel when I just describe that person? Yell out some words. Kaylin just made a noise.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Say it again.
She made me tired.
She makes you tired. She just makes you tired. How else do you feel? Stressed, frustrated? Okay, now what if she's calling people to book them? I got to do this contest. I need 30 people. I need 100 people. I need you to help me. What do you mean you can't help me? I can't count on you. I can't believe I can't count on you. That is where the term attack comes from. We are called to attract, not attack. But we can only attract if from our inside, from our core, we're coming from a great place. The spirit of, I am in control of my own emotions. I'm in control of my own thoughts. I'm in control of my own words. I'm in control of my own actions. I'm in control of, I'm going to receive the truth that Mariah just spoke over me, but I'm not going to receive those words that person just spoke over me. It's okay. She doesn't know any better, but she just doesn't understand. And I'm walking in the peace that God has gifted me with, that I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I'm out there, and I'm in the Mary Kay world. And I'm meeting people. And I'm connecting, and I'm looking into their eyes, and I'm asking to hear their story because it's more about them than it is about me. And I have a contest too that I'm working on, and it's the same contest, but instead I say something like, Stacy, I would be so honored to feature you in a contest that I'm working on. Here are the reasons why I love to be in your space. Could I steal you for an hour and gift you with pampering? By the way, you'd be helping me out a great deal, and I'd be so grateful. What feeling do you get from that woman? Love?
Empowered.
You feel empowered?
Respect.
You feel respect?
Important.
Privileged?
Appreciated.
Special?
Important.
Important?
Don't want to say no.
You don't want to say no. Boy, with the other one, you're turning around looking for the fastest route out. Run, 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 Forrest, run! With this woman, you want to be in her space. You want to be connected to her. She's captivating. She's charismatic. She connects to your spirit. Mary Kay Ash always said, we are the only Mary Kay that many women will ever meet. You have a choice. And in that crisis of choice, those moments, you've got to go back to this picture in your mind and make sure that you are emphasizing in your own leadership development, your emotional management, putting lots and lots and lots of good energy into which circle?
Yours.
The me circle. What you can control, your words, your actions, all of the things you can control, and very little into the other circle of what you can't. You see, guys, the reality is, for people who spend a whole lot of their time in that other circle, they become exhausted. They're operating out of a position of exhaustion, and that's why there can't be a spirit of gratitude that is flourishing. The last thing that I wanted to share with you today, when we get into that success filter and we get into that lens and we're in the zone and we're in motion and we're in activity and we're working and we're moving and we're on a path of progress and we're connecting with people and our spirit's in the right place and our bucket's filled so we can give out with great intention and great motivators from the inside out to other people, is what begins to happen is there's this success machine that begins to build in your organization. And the directors are nodding their heads because they know exactly what I'm talking about. You all know what I'm talking about. She's the leader that comes forward, and initially you might say, man, how does she do it? What is her feather, the secret magic feather? What's the one thing that she does that's so different from everybody else? Because certainly she's got to have a secret to how she works Mary Kay to get those kind of results. And you have that question in your mind when you see someone who represents a success machine that has been built. We know that that first began in her mind. We've already established that. What I want to share with you is when we work on this, everything else, the meat and potatoes, gets real easy, real fast. How many of you want this process from where you're at right now to 3-car, directorship, national, to be expedited? Raise your hands. Yeah. You would prefer rather it would move along rather quickly than slowly, right? That's why we spend 95% of our time in training, first of all here, because when this is set, I will promise you, Mary Kay is 90% a head game. 90% a head game. When your head is in the right place, Mary Kay always said it this way, you could do everything wrong and you are still going to get killer results. But if your head's in the wrong place, you could do everything right, but all that negative energy, all those negative thoughts going on up there, and it just ruins the results that could possibly be there. So what a success machine looks like, there's actually a theory behind this. It's the theory of the 100 monkey theory. How many of you have heard of the 100 monkey theory? Few of you have heard this. Okay, this is so incredibly amazing and powerful. I'm going to close with this story for you. The 100 monkey theory is based on a study that was done a number of years ago, decades ago. It was done off of an island that is off of Japan. And they were studying this special breed of monkeys. And the study that they were conducting is how quickly does it take for behavior to change. So when we introduce like new thought, have a new thought, how quickly will behavior change when the new thought's been introduced? So the tool that they used to create this study was sweet potatoes. And they began to drop sweet potatoes from airplanes down to the island where the monkeys lived. And they simply wanted to see, what will they do with them? And how long will it take them to figure out that sweet potatoes are really, really good? So for a while, the first few weeks as they did this experiment, they dropped sweet potatoes, and the monkeys did all sorts of things with them, but didn't eat them. They hit each other on the head with them, they beat them against other things, they used tools and worked with them, and all this kind of stuff they were doing to just kind of, figure out what it was. And then all of a sudden, a baby monkey got one of the sweet potatoes and peeled it and realized there was good stuff inside. So he began to eat it. And then another monkey saw him, said, "This is good. He can do it, I can do it." Peeled it, began to eat it. Then another monkey found the sweet potato, peeled it, dug out the food, began to eat it. And all of a sudden, what they thought could have been a weapon or some kind of tool became total sustenance for their living. And all the monkeys on that island began to know what sweet potatoes were for, how to use them, how to look at them, how to perceive them. The fascinating part of the study is that in an island, on an island that was not far away from that island, at the exact same time, those monkeys also figured out what to do. The theory goes like this. When you begin to build something, there's a lot of work at the very beginning. All the knocking on the sweet potatoes, all the hitting them, all the trying to figure out how are we going to do this, what are our skills, what are our tools, how do we make this work? There was a process to that. But then all of a sudden, everybody at the same time started to pick up on it. And sure enough, when the baby monkeys were born, the baby monkeys just all knew what to do with sweet potatoes. Consider apple. Proof of the 100-monkey theory. That in today's world, by the time a child is 6 to 9 months old and can control his or her little hand, they pick up an iPhone or an iPad and they know exactly what to do. No instruction manual, no teaching or training. They've seen it, they know. When you build success in Mary Kay, that is exactly how it works. You at the beginning knock things around, try to figure it out, get your booking script down, work on your coaching, learn how to retail the product, master the fun factor, the career chat. You get all that down, you're working it, you're doing it, you master it. And then as you begin to teach it, it becomes like a machine. We've seen this in our national area, and our original directors know this, that at one time in our national area, women didn't really understand how we thought. Women didn't really understand how we worked our businesses, closed, opened, did the skill base of our businesses. And now we look at all of you, and you were meant to be right here with us because you have come on board with your recruiter and your director, sharp, smart, strong, getting exactly what it is that we do. I remember back in the day when it took the majority of women to become sales directors years. Now we see women becoming directors in 60 days, in 5 months. That 100-monkey theory is alive and well in our national area. And this afternoon, as you have the privilege to be trained by some of our very best teachers in the skill set of our business, as you receive the teaching and take the teaching nuggets to fine-tune what you're building right now, I want you to promise me, will you promise me that you're not receiving it just for you, but you're receiving it for all the women who are to come after you on your team? That the better you get, there's Melissa smiling, that $1 million smile again. Just love looking over at you. As you get it down and as you master it, then there begins to come a quick evolution on your team of how quickly other women pick up on how we do this business. So before I introduce you to our first speaker who's going to share with you this afternoon in skill-based leadership, I just want to ask you the question. Would it excite you to bring a woman onto your team who within her first week became a brand new red jacket? How many of you would be excited? How many of you wanted that for yourself? How many of you didn't even know what that was called when you were brand new? Okay, so either way, but you desire that. You desire that for your people. How many of you desire that the women that you bring on board are generating $1,000 minimum a month from their product sales from month one on in their businesses forever and forever and ever? It just continues to grow. Absolutely. How many of you desire to not only be a sales director, but to have offspring sales directors that you're working with? Absolutely. So all of the things that we're building, mindset, the skill set, the belief in your heart, it's the head, it's the skills, hands, and it's your heart. As we connect all of those things, I ask you to take all of this in with vision of looking at what it is that you are building in the process, because you're not just learning it for you. You're learning it for all the other women who are to come, that can come next in line and move even faster and more furiously and have even greater success than you have had. One of my greatest desires is that my offspring sales directors will come and pass me by, and I will blow a kiss to them on their way to the top, because it is such proof to us of how great and how true this business really is as we work it. Your very first teacher this afternoon